Welcome to my first build guide for the Rogue for leveling up to level 50. I will do separate guides for leveling and completing the campaign compared to heading over to World Tier 3 and playing the endgame, because I think those both scenarios need drastically different builds. So we'll be focusing on leveling and finishing the campaign as fast as possible, and also on World Tier 1 because that's where I will be playing. I will give you hints on what to change when you play on World Tier 2, so you can pump up your survivability, and I'll show you which passives to pick rather than damage passives, which I will be focusing on. So my goal with this build is to clear bosses and elites as fast as possible. I don't care much about trash mobs because we'll be skipping those or killing them on the way while killing the elite or the boss. So that's the main focus on this build, but I'll show you what you can change if you play in World Tier 2, and you will have to focus a little bit more on what's going on and how to survive. So let's jump right into the build. This is my build, which I completed, and here you can see the skills and all the aspects I chose. I also focus only on aspects which you can get from dungeons, but we'll talk about that later. Here's the build as it looks when you're at level 50, but we'll go ahead and go through the build step by step to show you how I would go about leveling up with the Rogue. So let's start with our generator puncture. We'll put 2 points into that and then 3 points into twisting blades. Let's choose advanced twisting blades to reduce our cooldowns when the blades return through enemies. So that's what we go for. Then we put another point into fundamental puncture to make enemies vulnerable. And then we have our third category, put 1 point each into dash and shadow step. So that's our 4 basic skills we go with. And now we're at the first point where I would change things when playing on World Tier 1 compared to World Tier 2. On World Tier 1 I would put 3 points into weapon mastery to further enhance the damage against enemies that are healthy with my daggers. If I would have to put more focus on survivability, I would pick sturdy and siphoning strikes to get more damage reduction and even self-heal when critically striking, what we will be doing a lot with this build. So now we have category 4, and I'll go for the poison traps and also enhance poison traps to knock down enemies for 1.5 seconds, which is really good. You will also knock down elites and can deal massive damage while they're just lying on the ground. Now we go back to concussive, because after knocking back or knocking down an enemy, you gain 15% increased critical strike chance against them for 3 seconds. That is really good. That brings us to our next category, and we'll pick poison imbuement. So here's another point where you can change things or mix things up when you play on World Tier 1 compared to World Tier 2. You can either not take Shadow Step or not take Poison Imbuement and rather take Dark Shroud for more survivability, but as I'm playing on World Tier 1 I don't think that's needed, so I will go full damage with all my skills. Now we put 3 points into Exploit. That gives us times 18% increased damage to healthy and injured enemies, so that's a really great passive. And now we're at level 21. That's the time where you pick your specialization, the latest, and I would pick Inner Sight. So you gain unlimited energy for 4 seconds when the meter is full. That's really, really strong. Now we can put 1 more point into Shadow Step, Enhanced Shadow Step, and 2 more points into Enhanced Dash. So if you pick Disciplined Dash, you can slow enemies by 30% for 3 seconds, and that's really good. A really good crowd control skill. By the way, now we're around open beta level, so level 24 here. You should be at the end of Act 1, at the beginning of Act 2 maybe, so that's around this point. So let's get some energy regeneration now. Put 1 point into Adrenaline Rush to gain 5% increased energy regeneration, and while we're here, pick 3 points in Trap Mastery. When Poison Trap or Death Trap activates, you gain 12% increased critical strike chance against vulnerable and crowd controlled enemies for 4 seconds, and will make enemies vulnerable or crowd controlled all the time. So that's really, really good. Next up, let's enhance our damage against poisoned enemies by picking Deadly Venom, 9% increased poisoning damage, and Debilitating Toxins makes enemies that are poisoned deal 15% less damage. So that's really good too, and really strong with this build. Now we've got our last category, and here I pick Momentum to get increased damage reduction, increased energy regeneration, and increased movement speed when hitting stunned, dazed, or frozen enemies, or hitting an enemy from behind. So that's really good too. Another great passive is Haste. While at or above 50% maximum energy, you gain plus 15% increased movement speed, or while below 50% maximum energy, you gain plus 15 increased attack speed. So also really strong and active all the time. Now it's time to pump up the damage of our main damage source, our Twisting Blades. I'll go up to level 5 over here, and then we'll pick some more critical strike chance for our imbued skills with Precision Imbuement, and then Enhanced Poison Imbuement, and we'll pick Blended Poison Imbuement for critical strikes with poison imbued skills, now dealing 75% increased poisoning damage. That leaves us with another 2 skill points, because I'm only picking all the skill points that you'll get by leveling up. You'll have 10 more skill points if you complete all the Renown on all 5 zones, but we'll go for 49 levels, so that's what we'll be picking. And I would put 2 more points into Poison Trap. Now, if you get all your Renown and the additional 10 skill points, you can use them for either Sturdy, Siphoning Strikes, Stutter Step, or Malice. So you'll get more survivability, self-heal, movement speed, or damage against vulnerable enemies. So that was all the skills I would pick, and now we head over to our armor and weapon slots, and I'll show you all the aspects I would choose and all the dungeons you have to complete to get these aspects. Like I said, I focused on aspects that are only unlockable via completing either the campaign or a specific dungeon. So that's it for this build. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope it gives you some insight and maybe some inspiration for your own builds. I'm really curious though on what class and what build you'll be playing when Diablo 4 launches. But that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If so, please feel free to give it a thumbs up, and if you want to stay up to date on all things Diablo, subscribe to the channel and activate the bell so you won't miss any new videos. But that's it from me for now. I wish you all an awesome day, and I'll catch you in the next one.